has been so effective in countering when Larios lets his wide shots go from both sides. Now Oscar wants to try to do it one punch at a time. That's not going to work against a guy who can combine them the way Linares does.
Because he need to keep bringing those left uppercuts. But there you go. That's the punch that he lands more effective. Because the straight punches, for whatever reason, Larios kind of picks and moves and slips and slides. But he doesn't look for the left uppercut.
And Linares has noticed that and suddenly threw a barrage of them in this round.
This is exactly what you call ineffective aggression. Larios is coming in very aggressive, but not able to land clean blows.
You know, I would amend that just slightly. I think it is effective aggression, but it's in the face of such outstanding boxing skill that it's not effective enough to outdo what Linares is doing.
It's not effective in terms of landing blows now, but it was this kind of dividend of pressure, you would say. Hoping the last few rounds it would take advantage of it, but the way he's getting hit, I don't know if that's going to make much difference.
Dividend pressure. I believe that's a new one, Emmanuel. I like that a lot.
But, you know, that kind of dividend pressure, as you say, was not enough. It started to change the momentum a bit, and yet Linares was calm and cool enough and skilled enough and tough enough to go right through it and just continue doing what he does.
Well, I think the 21-year-old has made an impression with his body punching. Larios' punches don't seem to have the same impact that they had in the first 3 or 4 rounds, and Linares is taking advantage of that to set his feet and fire more meaningful shots.
I'm very impressed with Linares. You know, with this type of pressure coming from a veteran fighter, he's fighting a very good control fight.
He's the kind of fighter, Linares, that makes me at least go ooh and ah when I watch him work. 8 punch combinations, most of them landing 6 and 8 punches at a time.
And Oscar Larios' face, most particularly his left eye, beginning to show the results of Jorge Linares' consistent accuracy and sharp punching throughout the fight. In one dressing room, 35-year-old Ronald Lamont Winky Wright. He says at this point, look, I'm no light heavyweight. I'm mostly still a super middleweight or a middleweight fighter, but I'm looking at an opportunity to enhance my credentials and my legacy. I'm fighting the best fighter I can find to fight. As for Bernard Hopkins, he spent years punishing his body and remaining at the middleweight weight level when, if he didn't have that 20 consecutive title defense streak and the legacy he was building as a middleweight, he might well have moved up to light heavyweight 4, 5, 6 years ago. The instant he appeared as a light heavyweight last year against Antonio Tarver, Emmanuel Stewart, for one, stepped up and said, I think he should have been a light heavyweight for a long time. It looks like his more natural weight. Tonight they'll fight each other at 170 pounds. Bernard Hopkins and Winky Wright. CompuBox numbers in the 7th round. Larios, 11 out of 48. His low punch output for the fight. Linares, 39 out of 100. Larios didn't connect on a punch in the first minute and a half of that 7th round. Now the 8th. Another fast combination of body punches from Linares, and he goes upstairs at the end. Larios increasingly trying to get it done with one shot at a time.
And Larios can do that because he's not a big puncher, but after every one of those big exchanges that Linares lands, immediately Larios starts putting pressure on him right away, and he's been able to still hold tight and maintain, because a lot of younger guys would fall apart then, because that's the time they want to take that little break after a big flurry.
Emmanuel, why is Larios able to connect with those looping right hands from time to time against Linares, who seems to be a good defensive fighter?
Because he's getting tired. As I said, the dividends he was expecting later on is beginning to pay off now. He's getting tired now, so he's misjudging his distance. He's thinking he's further away than he is. He's still too close.
The determination of Larios is really impressive.
Yeah,
that he's still applying this pressure and hasn't stopped throughout.
Well, he knows he doesn't have the skills to match the guy, so he's trying to make it up with just aggression. That's all.
Walking through some hard shots to do it.
But he's ragged. His balance is ebbing a little bit. His punches don't have the same impact as was the case before. And you see the benefit of fighting from a tighter, more skilled boxing envelope. It's the better balance of Linares and the sharper punching continues to make a big difference. What a combination that was.
And Jim, he put together about 10, 12 punches, right hands to the body mixed up with left hooks to the head.
Some wicked left hooks to the body in there too. And you see what, as soon as that's over with, Larios is right back at him again without letting him rest.
Left hook by Larios, bigger left hook to the body by Linares. That backs Larios off. Linares notices and comes back to the body 4 more times.
Larios looked hurt by that left hook to the body.
Body punches.
Linares, for a 21-year-old fighter, is extremely aware of what happens between himself and the opponent in the ring. Now, as we continue to count down to the main event, let's take another look at what happened yesterday at the weigh-in. A jovial Winky Wright jawing with Bernard Hopkins, a smiling Bernard Hopkins. No apparent antagonism between the two up to this moment. Freddie Roach standing calmly by. Train Oscar De La Hoya 1 minute, train Bernard Hopkins the next. Is there a better hired gun in the sport than Freddie Roach? And then suddenly, the verbal confrontation between the two fighters and the stare down after they had weighed in. And as Golden Boy matchmaker Eric Gomez watched between the two of them, Hopkins put his right hand on the forehead of Winky Wright and pushed him back. And for that, Bernard Hopkins is staring at what could be a $300,000 fine, because the Nevada State Athletic Commission is withholding 10% of his $3 million purse as they await a hearing on Monday to determine what the penalty will be for disrupting the weigh-in.
The commission better have a good jab to keep Hopkins away from his $300,000, Jim.
Frankly, ticket sales have not been spectacular, and there are some cynics here in Las Vegas who wondered if Hopkins did that to try to generate some more media coverage and more attention for the fight. I think Larios is getting weary, Emmanuel.
Yeah, that is because Linares is putting his combinations together, body and head. He's breaking him down with both. And all he has to do is shoot a left uppercut in between there, and I think he would finish him off.
Linares' hand speed has in no way diminished. He's able, when he wants to put his punches together in bunches. And Larios is still flinging those long right-hand shots one at a time, trying to somehow change the fight.
As you mentioned, Emmanuel, in the last round, the left hook to the body really started to hurt Larios. And Jim, as you mentioned, Linares is so aware of what's going on in the ring because since that time, he's gone almost exclusively with both hands to the body. So often you see a fighter not follow up his advantage when he's hurt his opponent in the body. That is not the case with Linares.
I've been very impressed because, he's been under a lot of pressure, so this is really a great development fight for him.
Look at the body punching continue from Linares. For every one that Larios lands, Linares tries to put together 4 or 5 in a hurry. Another thudding body shot. Larios continues to chase, try to put pressure on the 21-year-old fighter. You can almost feel Oscar Larios trying to say to Linares, look, I'm a man in here. You're still a boy. You're not supposed to be able to deal with me the way you've done so far.
Well, at the fighters, that was the main thing. He said he was dependent on his experience going down the stretch with a lot of big fights behind him that he would be able to break the young fighter down. But so far, Linares is held on and is still fighting.
Yeah, the boy can box and the boy can fight. In fact, after this fight, many in boxing will say, that boy can box.
Maybe quite a number of viewers out there getting ready to watch Bernard Hopkins and Winky Wright, who will look back in the next couple of years and say, that was the night that I first saw Michael Katsidis, and that was the night I first saw Jorge Linares.
In other words, you're saying they are future big stars.
And they're stealing the show unless Hopkins and Wright can provide considerable excitement in their fight. And incidentally, Sar Amansat looked really good much of the time against Michael Katsidis. Katsidis is just a bizarre force of nature.
Amansat and Larios, worthy fighters.
Absolutely.
Admirable fighters. Linares and Katsides, special fighters.
Let go on the inside. Time!
Breathe deeply. Breathe deeply. What's wrong? What's wrong? Are you hearing me? You want to win or what? You want to win? Come on, you can win. What's up? He's hitting you low. He's hitting you low a lot. Chololo, when you go in, put your left shoulder in first. Come on, left shoulder in first. You okay? There's 3 rounds left.